Three, two, one. Welcome, everyone. This is your host for Brainy Biz Waves, Asia's first business talk on Facebook, Mary Angela Moore. Today, we are honored to have Deborah Levine. Deborah Levine has 33 years experience in speaking, consulting, and coaching around cross-cultural communication and cultural diversity. Born in Brooklyn and brought up in Bermuda, she has lived, worked, and studied in every region of the U.S. With advanced degrees in anthropology, religion, and urban planning, she coaches executives, professionals, and civic leaders. She is a well-known speaker at universities, corporations, national conferences, and service associations. Deborah is editor-in-chief of the American Diversity Report and an award-winning author of 10 books, with two more coming up shortly on unconscious bias. Her articles are published in the Huffington Post, Harvard Divinity School Bulletin, and many other journals and magazines. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all warmly welcome Deborah Levine. Deborah, good morning.
Oh, it is wonderful to be here with you, Mary. Thank you so much for inviting me.
My honor.
Well, I look forward to talking with you.
Yes, all right. So, Deborah, my first question is, how did you get started writing about cultural diversity?
I started very young because the transition from Bermuda and the British colonial culture to New York and the American culture was a bit difficult. And so as a teenager, I wrote to help define myself. I wrote short stories and poems and some articles. As I got older, I was asked to write to help others make the transition and to define themselves and to understand different cultures, cultural issues, and diversity. It's been a pleasure, and the very first book that I published was done as I was mentored by the Catholic Church in Chicago, and that book won a National Press Award. I'm very fortunate.
Oh, you're beautifully wept by your experiences. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I remember that in 2014, you actually trained the teachers of my institute, English with Mary Moore, and you did really fine. After that training, we were able to go global. I mean, we were already global before you trained us, but after you trained us in 2014, we were able to open our branch in France, in Germany, and Italy. So that was really wonderful. Now, for those who hadn't experienced your trainings, would you like to explain to them what happens in your cross-cultural communication workshops?
Yes, thank you. I always like to make my workshops, my trainings, interactive and personal and fun. This is truly a very difficult area to work in, cross-cultural communication, but it doesn't have to be painful or difficult to learn. So we talked about teamwork. How do you deal with international, a diverse team? How do you lead it? How do you communicate so that you're understood even though they may not know anything about you? And that's what I really point out. Getting to know each other, getting to be able to share stories, to communicate, builds a team culture all by itself.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. You'd shared it with us actually, and you were able to empower us because of that. So what are you expecting for your new books on unconscious bias? I also am very excited to read this book. This must be something about cultural diversity, how we should be accepting each other in spite of our differences. I think that's going to be what I'm going to expect from the book. But I'm very excited to hear from you what you would like to tell us about this new book that you're going to launch, Unconscious Bias.
Mhm. This new series, actually, one is going to be for the workplace and one is going to be for the school and classroom, is designed very much like the courses that I taught for you on cross-cultural communication. And it refers to cultural anthropology and urban planning in terms of how we look at culture, what we know about it, what we know about ourselves, in order to build awareness of who we are, who others are, be sensitive to what is said in both cases, to be able to translate that into cultural competence and wise decision making. That means that we can interact together much more efficiently and without as much conflict. And the exercises in the book take you through that process as an individual and as a team, as a class, and you are able to be empowered to understand and work better with people who are not like yourself.
Wow, I need that. I need that. Okay. All right. You know what, Deborah? I was like, you know what? Okay. Yeah, I chose you to be my first guest for this maiden edition of Brainy Biz Waves because, as you know, I've been following you since I remember 2008, and we would collaborate on and off, and we never had any conflict. And I just so respect you so much, and I just realized that the reason why I like you so much is because you're so professional. You know, you're so professional, you're a great communicator, and you know, in the course of following you, you inspired me to write my own book. And I still remember you helping me edit the book and putting it in Amazon, and until now you're still my consultant for writing. And so I really would like you to share with our friends out there um, your advice as to your advice for those people who would like to write about their experiences and how they would be able to promote themselves using their books. Because I remember you were telling me before, like we have to make my book something that would stand out in the market, that it would serve as a business card for me. I would like you to elaborate more on that so that our listeners, our friends would learn more from you.
Yes, the books that professionals write, and they are, if they are good, are a calling card. And when you are invited to speak, you can point to the book, you can share the book, you can sell the book. Without it, it would seem to me you'd only have half of your marketing ability showing. So I do encourage people to write about what they've done. The getting started is always the most difficult piece of it. And so I have written a guide for people who want to write a book about their work, what they've accomplished, and why it matters. And it's called Write That Book, Write That Story, and it's available on Amazon. And what it is very much in my own style, which takes you through the process of thinking through what you want to say, how you want to say it, building the arc of the story, was building it up and then coming into a wonderful conclusion, and making your story come alive with details that are personal and not just reporting. And that's the key. And so I do coach people on that process. At this point, I often refer them to editors for the going through the actual wording and the grammar, but I am happy to help coach on the content, the flow of the story, the details that are put in to make sure that that book is you.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I remember me telling you that, um, yeah, you can tweak some parts, but the not the not on my personal style, I think. And you are very respectful as an editor, and really I salute you for that. And the book just came out to be really Mary Angela and didn't sound like Deborah Levine. So
Yes,
thank you.
exactly.
You're so fantastic. And yeah, I remember, Deborah, sometime in, I think 2012, you asked me to write. You are a very, very creative writer. You're so talented. And, I'm just so glad that God brought us together as, like online friends, and hopefully some, like maybe next year I'd be able to fly to Chattanooga and be able to meet you personally and hug you. You really had contributed a lot to myself. To my career. And all right, 2012. I remember you asked me to write about my short bio in cultural diversity, and I think I entitled that how my genes had webbed to me, something like that. I remember that was in the diversity report, because I'm a melting pot. I think you were interested in my story because I'm a melting pot, and you also coached me about writing. At that point, I sent you a very raw material, and you came up with a lot of notes, and I learned. That was a very good learning experience for me, and it was an honor for me to be in your American Diversity Report, a very well respected EZIN, published by you.
Yes.
So okay, so can we tell our listeners or our friends what is American Diversity Report, and how can they submit their articles if they would like to write or to contribute for the American Diversity Reports?
Yes. So the American Diversity Report was created. I created it almost a dozen years ago in response to the changing world, where a small city like Chattanooga was becoming a global village with international industries coming here. And I wanted to document what that transition was like. And I also wanted people in the city to benefit from different voices around the world, to hear what was going on and to understand others who were going through this similar process. And so we have hundreds of articles up on the American Diversity Report from all over the United States and all over the world, people who have dedicated themselves often to documenting what they're doing, teaching people about what they've learned, sharing their cultures, whether through how-to articles or even poetry, so that people can get a sense of the world today. And there is on AmericanDiversityReport.com an element where it says submission information, and people can click on that and look at what is required of an article for submission. And we will have a a hiatus, a little vacation over the summer. But the next issue, there is a newsletter that goes out, an issue, will be in September. So the next deadline is mid-September. If people are interested, they can submit for that issue. And
Oh,
it
okay.
will be an honor to hear from people all over about what they're doing in terms of cross-cultural communication, or in their business, in their communities, and so they get to basically teach through their writing.
Oh, I will be submitting my experience with my fellow Filipino Muslims in Marawi City. And yeah, I'm just writing the article. Once I'm done, I'm going to submit it. And I'd like to contribute to the American Diversity Report.
I love it. This is basically
Thank you. I
writer.
just love you. You're so appreciative. You're so appreciative of me, and that's why you encourage me so much. Okay. Deborah, if they like your services or mentorship in terms of book writing, or if they'd like to contribute to the American Diversity Report, or if they'd like to buy your book, where can they contact you?
All of my books are up on Amazon, first of all. So you can go
Mhm.
to Amazon
So
and
they
they can
Google.
Google the books, but they can also see all of the books that I've written on the American Diversity Report. There is an item, a category in the menu, books and resources, and you can just look through them if you like. If you're in the States, it's easy to order them from that uh, ADR, that's what I call it, American Diversity Report, click on. If you're not, then you can go on Google and order it anywhere. And also, I try to provide a Kindle ebooks version of what I write. So there's something for everyone on that front. As for my services, we will be offering some online seminars in the near future, probably in September. And what I would say is go on to the American Diversity Report and subscribe. And it doesn't cost you anything, and you will be getting our newsletters, which will announce what's going on, and you can participate.
All right, we will actually be posting articles of your American Diversity Report in our in the homepage of Brainy B- Brainy Biz Waves. I'm sorry, okay. So
Mhm.
so that they'd be able to read some of your articles, and so that they'll be able to see um, the is in itself, and maybe there is a tab where they'd be able to submit their articles.
All right, we'll make arrangements for the in those articles to have links to the submission and to the books, so that it makes it easier for people.
All right. So thank you. So with this, Deborah, we still have like 3 minutes. If you still have something to tell our audience, feel free to do so.
What I would like to say to wrap up is how much I've appreciated everyone who has joined me in the American Diversity Report, like you, of course, uh, to assist the world as it gets smaller, and we all need to know how to live together. It's been such a pleasure, so enriching, and I want to share that with everyone who is open-minded enough to look into this issue of cross-cultural communication and crossing cultural boundaries, and have some fun doing it. Okay?
Thank you so much for enriching me and enriching our listeners once again today. And I look forward to working with you some more, because you had inspired me a lot for for the past 10 years. Oh gosh. Can you imagine? We've been together online for the past 10 years. Oh, okay. So we will keep them posted as to another project that we're going to do in the near future.
Great. Talk to you soon.
So, with this, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us and stay tuned for our next edition 2 weeks from now. Thank you so much and goodbye.